Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining the Kuwait Foundation for the Advancement of Sciences on our webinar tonight. My name is Sarah Al Said. I'm a program officer at the Research Directorate Department at KFS, and I will be your moderator for tonight. First of all, we'll take this opportunity to congratulate ACK for becoming a university now. On behalf of KFS, I'm proud to introduce Professor Issam Zabalawi, the president of the Australian University of Kuwait. Professor Zabalawi is a well-published research scholar, and prior to joining ACK in 2017, he held senior positions, including President of the Arab Academy for Banking and Financial Sciences, and he was also the Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research in Jordan. The webinar title is Bringing Research into Learning by Applying the Principles of Research-Based Learning, RBL. During this webinar, the focus will be on structuring RBL in undergraduate studies by applying the principles of the CDIO approach and the connected curriculum. This session will be running for approximately 1 hour, and it will be recorded and uploaded at KFA's YouTube page, followed by a Q&A session, so please leave your comments and questions on the chat box on the right. Professor Issam, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Yeah, good. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to speak to the group of people who are attending this webinar. And in fact, I would like to thank KFAS for this opportunity, and I would like to thank the attendants. In fact, the speech is going to be related to the research and how we can bring the research to the classroom for the undergraduate students. Before we start talking about the subject, I thought that I would like to share with you 2 slides. This is the first slide. It's the bottle of Vimto. In fact, this is from the very close to the entrance of University of Manchester. And if you go there and you ask them why this Vimto is there, and everybody, in fact, at the University of Manchester, even everybody in Manchester, is aware of the story of Vimto. Vimto being developed in the School of Engineering, School of Science at the University of Manchester. So this is the culture of science and technology. So the whole university is aware of the details of this story. Even the name of the Vimto is coming from the names of the people who are developed this. And if you look at the, they have postcards with the Vimto, and they have this is the notebook used by the students. If you go to the bookshop at the university, they sell this notebook. This is the type of the culture, in fact, that we are missing at our universities. The second slide is this one. It's the 5 equations that change the world. Those are, might be many people, they are familiar with those equations. But I would like to ask this question to my colleagues, the faculty members at the different universities in the Arab world. When they assign, further readings to their students or supplementary readings, do they assign a book like this? Unfortunately, you go to the, book exhibitions and you see it is full of books about Tafsir al-Ahlam, rather than finding books like this in order to spread the culture of these activities and these events, and you read about the life of those people who changed the world. In this presentation, I'll give some background and the drivers, why we are introducing research at the undergraduate level, and how we would like to understand what's research-based learning and what's the impact of research-based learning, whether talk about the students, faculty members, university, country, worldwide even. And what the strategies that we should incorporate in order to indulge or to introduce the RPL into the curriculum, and what's the RPL curriculum, and how we become an RPL university. And there is a certain number of models. In fact, if we have time, we'll talk about 4 different models for the RPL, and also some experiences from different universities. And I will mention a little bit about the case of the Australian College of Kuwait. In fact, when we look at all the universities in the region worldwide, when they talk about the mission of the university, the mission is based on 3 pillars. Whether we talk about the old type of mission, or the modified one, they talk about teaching, they talk about research, and they talk about the service to the community. And nearly 15, 20 years ago, they modified it to become teaching and learning. So they add the learning component to the teaching, and they add the innovation to the research and development, and start talking about serving the community, the leadership in the community. These are, unfortunately, when we look at these 3 pillars, they are disconnected. They are not integrated. And this is the weak point in the mission of all the universities. Even the so-called research universities, they have these 3 pillars are disconnected. What we are looking for, we want them to be connected. And unfortunately, most of the universities, they have regulations govern the graduate programs, and another set of laws and regulations governing the undergraduate program, as there is a dichotomy between the undergraduate and the postgraduate. Even, some professors, they think about it that in the undergraduate, we transmit information, we transfer information to the students, while in the graduate programs, we are supposed to create or generate informations. Now, what we are thinking, that we would like to have all these together integrated, and we feel that at the core of these 3 activities or 4 activities, we have to put the research-based learning. Now, if we think historically, the first image, it's the Magna Carta Universitat. This is a document signed in 1988, in fact, I think in Bologna, and where all at that time, around 400 European universities, rectors, presidents, chancellors, they signed this document as a charter. And it defines the university, the role of the university, who should be at the university, the role of the professors, the role of the students, and so on. But this document emphasized that all the students, regardless whether they are a graduate or undergraduate, they are responsible to participate in the teaching learning process, including the research component. The second slide here, the second is the Bologna process. This Bologna process is almost very close to 20 years in the implementation. They have 10 pillars in the implementation of the Bologna process, and all the components in the Bologna process and the subsidiary, activities, they emphasize the activities at the research at the undergraduate. Even at the beginning, the Bologna process was designed for the first cycle, where the first cycle is related to the undergraduate students. Again, when we look at the UNESCO, conducted a number of conferences and meetings, and they developed the so-called document, The Renewing of Higher Education for the 21st Century. And they developed a very valuable book called Learning the Treasure Within. And they They identify why we are doing the learning process, why we learn. In fact, at the beginning, they put these four pillars: we learning to know, learning to do, learning to live, learning to be, and learning to, and then they added to it learning to transform, and then learning to get employed. In fact, UNESCO in these documents, they don't separate between the teaching, learning, and research. They think that they should be integrated, amalgamated together. And you can see that in this year, there is a number of forums where they emphasize these concepts. Again, most of the universities, especially in North America and in Europe, they have a pledge. And in fact, this pledge is the standard one is composed of 8 components. And if we look at just at component number 1, component 1, opportunities to learn through inquiry rather than a simple transmission of knowledge. What does it mean? This means this research. If I start to do inquiry and so on. Again, you know, a comprehensive preparation for whatever any after graduation. So I need to prepare my graduates after the graduate, or my students after graduation. Even this statement from the, I think the Minister of Education is saying that you cannot see that the graduates from the universities who are not equipped with the tools and the means in order to do research. They are not considered a proper graduates from the universities if they don't have the tools and the means for the graduation. And these are, in fact, look at number 7, number 5 from the pledge. Expectations of any opportunity for work with talented researchers. Those are for the undergraduate students. They have to work with the talented researchers. We ask ourselves this very simple question. Do we give the students at the undergraduate level this opportunity? Unfortunately, you know the answer. So again, in fact, you know, these two professors, they are working on the teaching and learning process, and they said that the research mode should be centered to the curriculum. And in fact, there's good number of universities in Europe and North America. They started to indulge, or they integrate or incorporate the research in all the courses given at the undergraduate level. And here you see, we want the students to access the benefits exposed to the teaching involved by research can bring, and we believe we are understanding of the research process, asking the right questions in the right way, conducting experiments and collecting and evaluating information must be a key part of the undergraduate curriculum. Unfortunately, this is not happening. It's not part of the undergraduate curriculum. Might be it is part of the graduate, might be, but not fully sure. So we can see that things are changing at a very high pace. Therefore, we have to reskill our graduates and we have to upskill our graduates. In fact, higher education is changing, evolving at a very high rate. And nowadays there is a competition between the different service providers for higher education. The companies, they start to provide education because they, higher education, because they are not very much satisfied with the quality of the graduates coming from the universities. So we can see a new breed of universities called corporate universities. And the number of those corporate universities is increasing. Again, we see that the pedagogies used in the higher education is changing at a very high rate. If you 2 years ago, nobody was able to talk about e-learning in the region. Nowadays, it becomes a little bit of the norm. The speed of technology changing. In fact, when we look in general, the economy is become knowledge economy, whether we like it or not. We talk about globalization, we talk about innovation and entrepreneurship, we talk about demographies. We are a young society. Other societies are old society, aging. They have problem of aging and so on. And also the technology changes. All these issues, people, they look at them as challenges. I would like to ask people to think about them as drivers rather than challenges. Most of our graduates, in fact, or over the universities, they took in their mission and vision and in their portfolios and their websites, and they talk about, the graduates' capabilities, skills, and competences. First of all, for example, they talk about knowledge and thinking skills. If we look at the top of this pyramid, there's something called create. How you are going to create if you are not doing research? Creation means you have to develop something new. Something new, developing something new means research. So this type of skills and activities should be based on teaching, learning, and research. If you think about the other set of activities, what we call it affinity. Affinity, this means that you have to interact with the society and you have to interact with people, and these are part of the competences of a good researchers, in fact. And so the universities, again, they talk about this set of competences. The third group of competences, what we call psychomotor. If you are going to build the prototypes and to test those prototypes and to be meticulous and you have to be precise and so on, and these are the types of skills that researchers need to, whether inside the lab or outside the lab. So to a certain extent, we are too much theorizers at the universities in saying that we equipped our graduates with this set of competences. We are too much, a little bit far from the reality. Again, we talk about the interpersonal skills because researchers, they don't work in isolation. They have to communicate with their peers and they have to communicate with the customers and they have to communicate with their people and so on. So, and they need information from other scholars and so on. So they have to be equipped with these types of competencies. Again, researchers, they have to be equipped with this type of skills and competencies. For example, we talk about if you want to do a research, you have to know how to formulate questions. And also there is a number of methodologies. What type of methodology that you are going to use. How to do a literature survey, how to write minutes of a meeting, how to write a proposal, how to do analysis for the data, how to evaluate results, how to present results, how to draw conclusions, how to assimilate information, and how to publish results, and so on, and how to critique results. All these competencies are needed in the job market today. Are we prepared, our students at the undergraduate level, or even at the graduate level, with this set of competencies? I think the answer, you know the answer. I'm not going to talk about what's happening at the universities in general. The only way is to introduce reform. We want to introduce reform by integrating the research process with the teaching and learning process. What do we mean by research-based learning? So this is an approach. We have people, maybe some of them, they are familiar with the problem-based learning, project-based learning, case studies, and also. Now here, when we look at the research-based learning, this means that if I have a course or a program or a part of a course, in that particular part, I have to put a research component. Research component means that there is something haven't been solved. I will ask my students, I will co-op with my students in order to solve that, or to extend certain set of results, or to use some concepts in a different domain, in a different applications, and so on. So there is a plenty of components related to the research. This might take place in the formal education if I'm registered, as I said, for a degree program, whether at the undergraduate or at the graduate level. In addition to this, I would like to have this to be also as a part of the non-formal or the informal education, not just only in the formal education. In fact, in the what we are trying to do in the research-based learning is to develop to develop new knowledge, and also at the same time, not just only for the students, but also for the faculty members. Because if the faculty member is aware of the results, this is not a research. This is an exercise that they might ask students to do it. In fact, the research-based learning, the RPL, it is based on the active learning. And in the active learning, the sky is the limit. We can involve so many resources, so many directions, and so many interactions, and so on. In fact, we want to develop the competencies of the students. Because when they graduate from the university and they go to the workplace, might be a good percentage of the knowledge that they have gathered in the university will be changed. So they need to do relearning, rethinking, and also they need to do research to equip themselves with the new knowledge needed for the work environment. Yeah, of course, the students, also they feel the benefit of doing research. In particular, I feel, as a student, if I'm doing research, this means that I'm doing the state of the art. I'm at the top of the knowledge pyramid. If I'm doing a new knowledge and a new data, and at the same time, when I look at the applications for the research that I am doing, I feel my learning and my teaching and my so on, it's very relevant. So this is an important component for the in the teaching and learning process by using the research-based learning. Again, when I finished a certain amount of research and I get a new information, new knowledge, I want to assimilate this knowledge within the system of knowledge that I have. So this will create the accumulation, then will enhance the accumulation of knowledge, and this will enhance my perception and my understanding for the different aspects that I am dealing with. In fact, when we think about the research-based learning, there is an important component related to the understanding. And unfortunately, what's taking place at many universities, it's not the understanding, it's the learning process, but not the understanding. Usually I ask, if I'm going, let's assume that I'm in the area of communication theory and electrical engineering. If I don't understand the electromagnetics, I will not be able to understand the communications process. So I have to, I have a good understanding of the fundamentals. I have to know good physics in order to understand the electronics, and so on. I have to have a good mathematical background in order to be able to solve equations, and so on. So I have to build on my prior knowledge, and this is very important. Sometimes, faculty members, they raise the question that the students, they come to the university without having the prior knowledge. Okay, let's assume this is true. This is, let us figure out where the areas where there is a missing issues in their prior knowledge, and there is the techniques in order to figure out the missing elements in their prior knowledge, and then I will try to do a bit of education process or programs or supplementary reading, supplementary materials to enhance their prior knowledge if they are missing something. And also, to make this process relevant, it has a social context. There is social interactions. And by doing that, the students, they will start to appreciate it, start to understand it within the environment that they are living in. And of course, we have to build all this learning process with word life experience. At this stage, we should not be that much theorizers. We have to be very close to the working environment and to the life examples of our life. So in the research-based learning, there is a problem solving, there is a cooperative learning. Unfortunately, we don't do it, this cooperative learning at universities. Cooperative learning, this means that people coming from a different background, they sit together, but they look at the same thing from different angles. And then we combine their views together to develop a comprehensive view about a certain issue. And then we have to develop the hands-on experience. And this is, we can do it through the experiential learning. And this is part of, in fact, of the mission of the Australian College of Kuwait, is to develop the hands-on experience. Again, the inquiry. It's not, this is the experience of the faculty member, how to transform his class into a set of an inquiry, as an inquiry class. In addition, it's a collaborative. We don't talk about, one discipline. When we think about research, it's an interdisciplinary. It means that the students, if I design a certain device, I have to know the economical part of it. I have to know the environmental impact of that, and I have to know the maintenance of this process. So we take all these components, we want to research developing a certain aspect. So in order to be able to conduct a research, we have to know, as I said, we have to give a good understanding of the basic concepts. We ask, for example, today mechanical engineers worldwide, what's entropy? What's enthalpy? They have difficulties to understand this concept or to explain it, despite the fact it's part of the fundamentals. If you ask them something about the second law of thermodynamics, we want them to understand the basics very well. And also we want, by doing that, we will see that the students, they start to appreciate science and technology and understanding. And this is very important, so they will have a positive attitude towards these dimensions related to their religion. When we look at the research-based learning, we have a number of elements. It has to be a part of the strategy, not at the course level, but at the program level, at the departmental level, at the school level, at the university level, at the country level. Research, if we want to indulge, to embed the research as a part of the, we started at the, we don't need to start it at the PhD level. We can start this at the school level. And this is happening at certain countries. They start this research activities at the school level. And again, we want to connect the learning process with the research process. This means that the students, you give them a research problem, and from the research problem, whether it is small or big, they learn from conducting that. And this is the aspect, this is very important, because once they start doing the research, they start to understand all the elements around that component. One important factor to make it a success is the partnership between the students and the faculty member. Unfortunately, Those are living in a certain domain and those in another domain. The link is missing. Without having a strong partnership, engagement between the faculty members and the students, we will not be able to develop the research-based learning process. In order to make this a success, we have to train our faculty members. Unfortunately, they need, very detailed training in issues related to how to embed the research dimensions into their curriculum. Once the faculty members are trained, once the legislation and the mission of the university included, the research-based learning, then we can develop the curriculum. And in fact, the Europeans, they have developed a detailed procedure composed of 10 steps how to develop the curriculum. Now, when it comes to the learning outcomes, still most of the universities, they put the classical learning outcomes. Now we have to, put as a part of the learning, as an integral part of the learning outcomes, the research skills. Even the Bloom's taxonomies, these skills related to Bloom's taxonomies, they touch the research, but not explicitly. We start at the universities to put these skills explicitly. Again, it's important once we done all these elements of the research process, we want the students to, able to demonstrate that they have this capability. Of course, if we want to do the research we want to involve the students, it's not, a decision that we would like to involve the students in the, we should have, as I said, a strategy. Most of the universities who involve in the research-based learning process, they divide it into 4 or 5 stages. The first stage, they call it research-led. The second one, they call it research-oriented. The third one, sometimes they call it research-tutored. The fourth one, research-based. And the fifth one is research critique. And you can see in this diagram, the horizontal axis is related to the research. On the left side is the research content, and the right side is the research process. The vertical side is the human capital. On the top side, the students, and in the bottom side is the faculty members. So in this process, the students, the curriculum designed in a way to support the understanding of the students of the research process. First of all, the students, they want to know what type of research is conducted by their faculty members. If I am teaching a course in digital signal processing, and I teach a course in digital signal processing at the same time, I have to tell my students what type of research I'm conducting. At least I will start to receive some respect from my students that our professor is a good researcher, he's doing research with the relevance and so with the certain applications and so on. And he is, on peer, he is, like the international professors and so on. We have to, inform the students about the research strength of the department. Imagine that the students taking 5 courses per semester. If I give them 2 research ideas, and in each course, I give them another 2, this means that in each semester, we will give them 10 research concepts, 10 research areas, or 10 research activities. He's going to stay at the university for, 8 semesters. 8 times 10, we talk about 80 different activities related to the research. I'm pretty sure at the end of this process, he will be a good researcher. If we, of course, mentored him and if we helped him to do that. This is an example in the research led. We explain the relevance of the current research in the course content that it's important for our instructors. present research results in a given topic of the course related to the course. So the students, they will start to feel that what they are taking in the classroom is state of the art. I'm not teaching from the yellow pages. Unfortunately, this is happening at some universities. The faculty members still, they are using their notes that they used when they were students. Also in this research led, we invite researchers to present relevant research for the course. This means that at the departmental level, the faculty members in the departmental meeting, they have to sit together and to discuss the types of research components that they are going to present to their students in the class. But this is not happening. This is the first step. I want to tell our students, what the type of research that we are conducting in our department, and then we tell them what type of research that we are conducting at our school, and then at our university. So they start to feel their department, their school, and their university, and they will start to become very proud of what's taking place at their institution. Again, if we look at the second dimension, which is research, this is research tutor. We assign a group of graduate students to mentor undergraduate students, because suppose, worldwide they talk about the graduate students, they are the research makers. So let them mentor or work with undergraduate students. Assign undergraduate teaching assistants to help the students in their research activities and so on. Plan activities with the students, interview faculty members to ask them about their research and about their outcomes. This is, I think, it's important so that we can start a bit by bit to build their competencies in issues related to research. Research-oriented. How I'm going to involve the students in the research process? I take them to the labs where research is conducted. Okay, I involve them in the presentation of the research output from other students. I invite them to the roundtable discussions. I invite them to the seminars and so on. I take them to I used to take students with me to attend international conferences. I want them to get the feeling of what's taking place. We are very fortunate at the ACK, in fact, because we do this with our students, and some of our students, they publish excellent work in Q1 journals. Undergraduate students, we are very proud of them, and we are very proud of our professors who are doing that. This is related to the research-oriented. Student, imagine that undergraduate student, he's in the third year or even in the fourth year. When his name appears in international journal, what type of joy and happiness and enthusiasm and motivation he is going to get. This is what's missing. These are very important dimensions that we should take into consideration. Now, research-based. We want the students to act as a researcher. Start to formulate the problem, start to put the hypothesis, to make the data collection, to do the analysis, and then to conclusions, and then to start writing the paper, and then start to send the letter to the publisher. So these are the sort of activities that we would like to encourage our faculty members. And also we need the governance process at the institutions to support this type of activities. By doing this, in fact, the higher education sector will have more presence, whether we talk about the inside the soul and the activities of the students or the parents or even the society at large. All this process, it needs some kind of an engagement. Engagement, it's a partnership. We would like to have a proper partnership. But the dichotomy that is existing between the students and within the faculty members, the master and the slave concept, if it's going to stay, forget about it. There is no way to develop research, whether at the department, even at the graduate level. We need the engagement process. Engagement means partnership. In order to be able to engage students in the process, we have to give them, to empower them, we have to give them the trust, we have to give them the courage and the support, we have to make them feel responsible. This is very important. They start to carry your cause once they start to feel that they are responsible. And again, we have to do something very authentic. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. And this is unfortunately happening at many universities, even at the master degree level and so on. They reinvent the wheel. They repeat what has been done somewhere else. Even some faculty members, they do that. So we want them, and also this means that, you know, an institution like CAFAS, they are so much, you know, concerned about the honesty of the researchers and so on. So we have to build this trust and this honesty in our undergraduate students, because they will be, we want them to be brought up with these values. Again, when we talk about at the undergraduate level, we have to be inclusive. We should talk to everybody, not to select a group of students from the class and to concentrate on them, that those are the best researchers. No, we have to be inclusive. You will see that every student, they have a latent energy, latent power. Our role as faculty members to sweep it up to the surface. This is extremely important. And also reciprocity. We want the students to respect us. We have to be reciprocal. Again, we should show them respect and proud. We should be very proud of our students. And, you know, unfortunately, many faculty members say, well, those people, they don't want to learn. They don't want just coming to the university for the piece of paper and so on. No. This type of attitude is not acceptable if we want to build our human capital. Look at this, you know, this is the international paradigm for engagement. There is a part here related to the partnership, and there is a related to teaching and learning, and there is another part related to the research. We have to engage them in the learning teaching process and the assessment. This is important. Are we teaching them right? Are we learning them right? Are we assessing them right? This is very extremely important. And also, sometimes we give them a research component or research element. We have to ask them, do they fancy this type of research or not? So this is an extremely important that we get engaged with them to understand their preference in these areas when we talk, especially when we talk about the subject-based research. Again, the scholarship concept, we have to encourage the students by giving them scholarships and to engage them in the, when we talk about the curriculum development, do we engage them in this process? Do we engage the alumni in this process? Especially when there is a research component in these different components. This is the type of engagement that we would like to see at the university. Now, if a university is introducing the RPL, research-based learning, it will produce an impact. Let us look at the university. First of all, the demand on the university will increase when the people, they start to understand that this university is introducing research at the undergraduate level. Look at the graduate from this university. The industry, they will be very happy, and they are looking forward to appoint people graduate from this university. Again, even those people who are doing the ranking for the universities, of course, you will get more points in the ranking process if you have this research is taken, because the research is an important element. Not all these ranking agencies taking that, because we know some agencies, they are selling ranking, okay, without mentioning names. They are selling ranking. So we want to make sure that the components of the ranking process research is like Shanghai. It's a good portion of that ranking is based on the research. Now, when you have your undergraduate programs, there is a research component embedded in these programs. You will have a better status. Now, when you look at the higher education sector, it becomes more relevant when there is a research, because the research we will direct it towards the needs of the country, towards the development, towards the sustainability of the country. So the sector will receive more respect from the other sectors. So we'll become really an active sector in the socio-economical development of the country. Now, at the wider stage, look at the country. One of the parameters that uses to classify countries, the number of researchers per million. Those students who are involved in research, they are potential researchers. And this will give a better position for the country on the world map in terms of research and development. And this, of course, will introduce, it will have, if we have another institutions, will take the output of the research and convert it into products. Of course, this will have a positive impact on the economy. In fact, when we think about the faculty members, they will start to teach the state of the art, because they are talking about research and the latest research, because they are not going to talk about the research being conducted 10 or 15 years ago. And what's happening, since the students are involved, all these students, they will become research assistants to the faculty member. So the output of the faculty member will increase, will enhance. And, nowadays you talk to faculty members at different universities, they claim that we don't do enough research because we are extremely busy with the teaching process. Excuse me, I'm bringing for you, including the research within the classroom, in the teaching process. So you need less time to prepare for your class, because you are preparing for your research as a part of your preparation for your class. And this is extremely important. So all the students in the class, they will become your research assistants. And also, this will enhance the relationship. You will become closer to your students, and your students, they will become closer to you. And after they graduate, they start to know your expertise. You will become a consultant for them. This is important. This is how the networks being developed. My students, they know that I'm expert in image processing, and they have an issue related to that, so they will start to talk to me. Without telling them that I'm doing a work in that area, how they would realize this? This is the important aspect of this. There is an impact on the students, and impact on faculty, and impact on the country. Once the students, they start to get involved in the research, they get a little bit motivated. They feel they are doing something which is good for the country, good for themselves, good for their reputation. They will write it on their CVs that I have participated as a project member, or as I have done research in this and that, and these are my results. And they start to enhance their communication skills, their representation skills, and so on. So there is an impact on the students, impact on the faculty members, and an impact on the country. There's some details here related to the impact on the students. These are general impacts on the students. I think And again, also, these are from the educational point of view. The most important thing, which I would like to emphasize, that the students, they start to work very closely with the faculty members as a mentors, not as a source of information. And this is the difference. So they will act as a facilitator. They will start to learn, how the leaders, how the researchers act, and also the ethics of the researchers will be, spreaded among the students and will be propagated to the students. And this will enhance the students, what we call problem solving skills. And again, if you want to do a little bit of research, you have to do, some kind of literature survey. So they start to use the sources of information, the libraries, you have to communicate with the people outside the university, in another country, in another institution, and so on. This will enhance your dimensions as far as the teaching and learning, and also the personal dimensions are concerned. Also, sometimes we talk to the students to develop them as professionals. They start to think, they say, think outside the box. No, I will ask them to think as there is no box. This is my intention, in fact. We want them, we tell them, everything is open. Think about it, present it, discuss it, talk about it, argue about it, and so on. This is the way that we build the personal dimensions, the knowledge components of the students, and also, they will develop new products and new ideas, and they will start to have the feeling of the research concepts and the importance of this, and they start to have the proper reflections on the different issues that they are taking a place in their life. These are some benefits to the faculty members. As I said, I think I will skip this one again. Again, as I said, it's important that the universities, they have developed training workshops for the faculty members in this regard. Most of the professional institutes, they have a professional development programs. I think about this research at the university, at the undergraduate level, how to embed it in that. It should be part of the professional development for the faculty members. Yeah, you are good researchers, but I want you to propagate this culture and this attitude and this understanding to your students. Don't live in isolation. Those will be your assistants. They will not take your place. They will help you. So if you have one idea with the students, your idea based on the holistic approach, 1 + 1 will be more than 2. This is how this will be developed if you cooperate and you engage with your students. This is, for example, at the University of Chalmers. They introduced a new concept called the CDIO. I'm going to talk about it if we have time. And this is a workshop for the faculty members, how to get acquainted of the different elements of the CDIO, and then how to use it to develop curriculum and to run a certain courses at the university. This is another one at a university, I think in Germany, instruction design research-based education. And this is for academic staff, this workshop for academic staff. And they are telling the academic staff what are the learning outcomes of this process. This is the beauty of things. We are lifelong learners as a faculty members. We know how to learn, we know how to de-learn, and we know how to relearn. And I believe the 3 operations are extremely important for us. Now, the university at large should adopt a certain strategy how to embed, how to integrate the research process into the learning process at the undergraduate level. The first element of this strategy, we draw on the personal research in designing and teaching courses. As I said, let's assume that I'm expert in digital filter research, digital filtering research. So there is a course and there is a component related to digital filtering. Then I put the research components related to that part of the course. And my colleague, he is in power systems. Also, he put the research problems related to his course. And we combine these and we integrated it in the program. So the first thing is to identify the research areas of our faculty members and the relationship with the curriculum. The second is how to embed those, to put those, okay, inside the curriculum. So we want to involve the students in the departmental research projects. This is a big step. Unfortunately, they don't do it. For example, if this is the project on the right side of the screen, this is what they call it, the Millennium Project, developed at University of Michigan Ann Arbor. In fact, all the schools and all the administrative departments, all the students at the university get involved in this project. And by the way, the people at Michigan are the ones who changed the mission of the university, where they introduced the learning to the teaching process and they introduced the innovation into the research process. It was invented at University of Michigan. Again, we have the third dimension to the strategy is how to teach the students the research methods. Unfortunately, they are coming from the high school. They don't know the research methods. They haven't been exposed to the research methods and so on. Unfortunately, we leave it to the graduate. No, we want to bring it down to the undergraduate so that the students, they will start to know what are the methods, how to collect data, how to analyze data, how to correlate data, and how all these the research aspects, they should be get acquainted with it at the department. Now, we don't want to dedicate courses for these techniques. No, we want it to be integrated inside the courses. So they feel the application of these techniques directly rather than having it in isolation. No, we want all the faculty members to use these techniques with the real applications. And this is, we believe, very, very important, because the students, they will start to remember all these techniques and they know when and where to apply these techniques. The third method is divide and conquer. Usually, we start to have small-scale research activities. Usually, we have a big research activity. Assume that I have a PhD student. I give him a big problem, and then I devise from this big problem 10 small problems. I give it to my students. Those are the undergraduate, and then I show them when we integrate these minute solutions, we can produce something. So this is also, it should be part of the strategy of the university. And in fact, literature-wise, there is a good number of books and publications how to, go to small-scale research activities. This example here talk about encourage students to feel part of the research culture of their departments. This statue is of Hertz. In fact, I was at the University of Karlsruhe in Germany. This is at the entrance of University of Karlsruhe. I spent 2 summers over there. Hertz was a professor there. Hertz is the one who developed the Hertz, the frequency unit. All the university people, whether they are academics, students, admin staff, supporting staff, you name it, all of them, they know Hertz. And they were very proud when they say that we are from Karlsruhe. Hertz, we have Hertz with, Hertz of one of our professors, and so on. This is the type of culture we are missing. Your success is my failure. Unfortunately, this is type of some of our understandings. People, they don't feel my success is his success. I think we should work very hard to change this type of culture, to change the understanding. This is very important. So again, in order to be able to change this type of attitude, we have to infuse in our students the values and the ethics of the researchers. Unfortunately, in these days, there is a lot of issues talking about the ethics related to research. Now, when we looked at the literature and we start to think about the curriculum, I'm taking longer than I should. The organizers, I'm okay. Anyway, when we looked at we have done a literature survey about the curriculum. We find that there is 15 components. When you want to design a proper curriculum, you should take it into consideration. Exploration in particular, this is related to the learning outcomes. We have a classical learning outcomes, but we want to challenge those classical learning outcomes, which means that we want to have learning outcomes related to the research process, research competencies. Identification, we have to identify the area, our strength in research, and to emphasize that in our curriculum. Development, we have to develop our curriculum, taking our strength, our research strength into consideration when we develop our curriculum. In-depth coverage, as I said, in order to be able to do research, you have to understand the basic principles quite well. Without this understanding, you will find difficulties. We have to align this with the national strategy. We cannot just think outside the world. Everything we do at the university should be aligned with the national strategy. We are not doing research here, to benefit Mexico. We have to direct our research to needs of our country and our region. In corporation, we have, in fact, to work together with the different institutions, whether inside or outside, and also we have to feel autonomous at the discipline level, at the multidisciplinary level. Again, we have to give extracurricular. This strengthens the dimensions of the students and the researchers. And if there is an opportunity, we have to give it to the students. And the type of work that the students they should do should be authentic. We have to provide the different facilities. In fact, each line item of those 15 components, it's worth it to be given a complete lecture. Work placement. In fact, what's happening that, in Europe, for example, part of the, Bologna process, 20% of the students should be mobile. So they move from one university to another university, from a university to industry, from industry to another industry, and so on. This is the work placement. We have to give our students work placements. This will enhance their capabilities, and they start to feel the needs of the work environment. Whether we talk about, competencies related to the knowledge or competencies related to the research. Again, everything we should respect everybody at the institution, and everybody has a value, because when we think about this holistic approach, the integrity of the institution, the holistic approach, everybody is important, and we complement each other. No way that we can replace each other. We complement each other. And we have to give equal access to everybody. The last item is the learning space. What does it mean, learning space? If we look at the standard of the CDIO, the workspace has a set of standards. So in order to prepare the students as when he works with the workplace, what is the work environment, where the space that he used to work at the university. Unfortunately, as learning space, we will find that some school students, they feel that the learning space at their schools better than the learning space at their universities. If we want to prepare our students well to go to the work environment, so we have to provide the proper learning space. Now what's happening that some universities, they claim, or they've been classified as a research universities. Unfortunately, there is a motion, in particular in the United States. I don't want to say against those universities, but they are saying those that so claim that they are research universities, they are taking the money from the undergraduate students and they spend it on the graduate students. This is not ethical. So if you take the money from the undergraduates, you should spend it on the undergraduates. You improve their research skills rather than take the money from them and spend it on the professors and on the graduate students. So they developed, there is a charter in the States now, they developed 10 steps in order to bring the research into the universities at the undergraduate level. Yeah. And in fact, let's give me just 3 minutes. I will try to finish. There are 4 models. I'll just speak about one model of those, which is the CDIO model. The CDIO model, it's an important model. It started developed at the MIT with the 3 universities in Sweden. If we look at the 4 pillars of this model, this is started at the 3 universities. All the components of this model, it's a research intensive, research based. Now you can see that more than 150 universities worldwide, they are adopting this model. And just to show you those are the different components inside the model. All of them, they have research components. All of these, they have research components. All of these, they have research components. And all of these, they have research components. And look at this one. This is the final one. This is they conclude their curriculum by having this 4.9 research. It reached at the end to the publishing the research. Starting from a concept, conceive, design, implement, and operate. Each stage of this will produce an output. In fact, there is a lot to say about this concept. I'm sorry I've taken more time than what's required, but I feel it's an important subject, and it's, I will leave this presentation with Kefas, so you are most welcome to download it. And then if you'd like to discuss with me any of these dimensions, you are most welcome. And in fact, I have also an extended version, around 130 slides for this research-based learning, or I call it sometimes bringing research into the classrooms. Thank you very much. I've taken more than required of your time. I would like to thank the people who attended. I would like to thank Kefas for generous time, and also for the support that we have received from them. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Professor Hassan, for this very, very, very informative presentation. We have one question now, so I will read it for you. They will not take your place. Thanks, Professor Hassan. This is unfortunately the fear for many professors. Sorry, I just lost the question. Professors that I personally know before I started my PhD. What is your advice for them? I think we lost Professor Exam.
I, what you have said, I have mentioned that. Unfortunately, this is a small percentage of our faculty members. I think we have to work with the professors and to convince them that 1 plus 1 is more than 2, rather than 1 plus 1 is 0. Because if I'm going to replace him, this means that when we add, the two efforts together, we'll get nothing. But we can work together rather than we replace each other. Despite the fact this is what's happening at, let me say that if you look at the project, genome project, thousands of researchers worldwide, they work together. They work together. And also at the same time here in this country, we have a good number of researchers that they are working together. Of course, when we sit together and we start to look at a certain problem from different angles, then we'll produce a better output. And taking into consideration that our main target is the development of the country. If we have the same cause, we can work together. But there is a room for everybody. This is very important concept. There is a room for everybody, for the contribution of everybody. Please let us be very frank with each other and work closely with each other. Nobody can replace the others. We work together. And the students who said that she's a PhD student, and I assure you, be frank with your professor, be frank with your colleagues, and tell them my role is to support you, and so that we can work together to develop better results. We can create a better environment for the cause of the country. We are not replacing each other. And I emphasize this, we are not replacing each other. There is a room for everybody.
Okay, great. There is another question from Dr. Abbas. This is Dr. Abbas. Thanks for the great talk. I have two questions. What are the essential infrastructure for RBL? And is there any need for multi-professor teaching team for RBL?
What are the essential infrastructure? Of course, the infrastructure, first of all, it's, as I said, the RPL, it's an interactive learning. It's an active learning process. So this means that you have to have the facilities for active learning, where the students, they can interact. We interact inside the classroom. We can interact outside the classroom. We can interact with the work environment. We interact with the specialists from outside. These facilities should be available in the classroom. And also, the most important thing, that we have to prepare well and to identify the role of every element, every student. We have to identify the role of the students, so we can work together. We can have a proper teamwork, and also we need proper teamwork, and we have proper management system, student information and the student management system to be utilized inside the classroom. And we have to have a proper set of resources. And also the faculty members, they have to develop their engagement tools, how I'm going to engage the students in the process. And I have to work as a mentor inside the classroom, as a facilitator, not as a source of information. And sometimes what's important in this process, I follow the development of the project or of the research problem from it is start with the concept I have to pass with them all the phases until it is a product, until it is an output. And again, this is the role of the professor to link them with the outward, with the externals, so that if they can develop these concepts to become products, so they can commercialize the output of the work commercialize the work of the students, and the students would be very proud. We have been part of developing this product, which is now in the market. Let me tell you this, some of our students at the SK, they develop, pavement material, and has been used by the Ministry of Public Works. So the students, they're extremely happy. We have participated in developing something which is useful for the country. So the students, the faculty members, they have to properly design the place, properly design the facilities, to make sure that they doing the mentoring process for the students, also to integrate the activities of the students and to get engaged, and also to have an equal access to all of them. Again, to link what you are doing with the strategy of your department, with your school, with your university. Again, this strategy should be linked with the strategy of the country. Should not work on a different domain in isolation. Also, expose what you are doing and what your students are doing to the externals. Expose it. This is the way that you give your students the credit, and they start to feel they have been appreciated. And this is the type of reward that we are missing for our students. We don't want them to go outside to get appreciation. We have to appreciate them inside the school, inside the department, inside the class. And we have to talk to them, freely, without having, these fences. This is important. This is extremely important, the relationship between the faculty members and the students. You are their mentor. Even if they have some social problems, they will come and talk to you to help them. This is extremely important. The second part, is there any need for a multi-professor? Yes, this is happening. You bring another professor to your class, okay, to tell the students about a research component related to your class. So this is the integration, the multidisciplinary, because we don't think about the discipline, we think about the product. We don't think about the discipline. This is extremely important dimension. We think about the product, because the product, it has many dimensions. I'll give you an example. If I design a building, I am very concerned about the environmental impact. This is environment, and the other one is a structural engineer. And so we have to talk to and then we bring a third professor to talk about the economy of the process. So it's very wise that we bring different professors with the different disciplines, and we show the students how we integrate the three components together. Research nowadays is not, you cannot do it in isolation. It's a multidisciplinary. And we feel that this is extremely important.
Yeah, so we'll just wrap up with one last question from Dr.
You give to young academics. Now, my colleagues, the young academics, I think I have for them a number of advices. First of all, at this stage, you have to concentrate on developing your teaching, research, and learning skills. You have to attend a number of workshops to develop those skills. This is the first advice. The second advice, put what you have learned from these workshops into practice inside the classroom. And then, don't be shy to ask another professors if you have anything you would like to learn from them. This is the way. It's a mutual. You learn from them and they learn from you. And always there is a first time. This is my advice. Always there is a first time. If you keep shading away from the things, you will never learn. This is the third advice. Don't think outside the country for the time being for your research activities. Think inside the country, and I'm pretty sure many institutions will help you to get issues to look at in order to develop your research skills and competences. And also, the holistic approach is extremely important. You work with the others, and working with the others, when we look at a certain issue, we look at it from different dimensions, and by combining all these issues together, we will produce a good product. It looks local, a product, but it has an international dimension. We think internationally and we apply locally. This is an important advice. Think internationally, apply locally.
Well, we reached this end of the Q&A. Thank you so much, Professor Isam, for
Thank you very much.
the excellent presentation. I would like to tell everyone that we have a survey at the end of the presentation. If you will kindly fill it up. Also, Professor Isam will share the full version of the presentation, so you
Inshallah.
can find it, inshallah.
You know,
So you'll find it in the handout
what you
section.
would like, if you can send them my email so they
Yes,
can
so
check
it's
it.
in the handout section.
This will open.
So,
It's not just only taking we might open dialogue, in fact, which is I'm so much interested in.
yes, so everything is in the handout. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending. Thank you, Professor Isam. Have a good night, everyone.
My honor. It's my honor. Thank you, Kefas, for what you have provided.
Thank you. Good
Thank you.
night.